I'm Bobby.
And I'm Nathan.
And this could be a podcast. That was good. No. The road is hard. I don't think most people understand how hard the road is.
I can imagine.
You can only imagine.
I can imagine how difficult road life is. That being said, the idea of like the Road album, your sophomore slump Road album, is it's a little tedious. It's a little bit.
I mean, that's a thing. I think with the road itself, because the road is much more than just having your first album being successful and then you're just touring and everything like that. I'm sultry just taking off this shirt. Hold on. Yeah, don't worry.
It's very sexual.
Thank you. It's mainly the eye contact.
That's it. That's what makes
what it was.
Something sexy or sexual is excessive eye contact.
Yeah, if you just do it a little too much.
A little bit too much.
But no, the road is wearing you because you can be on the road your entire life and it doesn't bring the fame and fortune and glory that most people associate the road with. Because again, like to your point of like the sophomore slump, you've already kind of hit the jackpot of I've had a successful album. That's why I'm on the road this way, and I can't write a second album because I'm on the road so much. Versus the grind of being just this is what I have to do to be on the road.
Right.
Those are two different worlds. You know? Going to a place to play a show that no one knows your name is different than going to a place where everyone's can't wait to see you, basically.
Right. I mean, don't get me wrong. The road is it's long and rough.
No, be serious about this.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I think living out of a suitcase is very, I don't know. It's very tough. And I say that, and I'm a big fan of nomadic lifestyles, nomadic cultures. Yeah. Like I love the Roma, and I love the Plains Indians, and I love the gauchos and
not
the cowboys.
Not a cultural appropriation way. Just
there's
admiration.
There's something romantic about.
Very much so.
There's something romantic about that lifestyle, and I think that's what a lot of people get sucked into is that romanticism of the road and imagining that
exactly.
But that's
what I mean. I got sucked into it. I mean, and trust me.
But it's a grind.
I loved being on the road. It was one of my favorite times, if not my most favorite time of my life, of being on the road. Every day is different. There's this unknown. You have nothing. Most people on the road don't have a lot.
Right.
I mean, just in the
road
landscape.
Doesn't allow it.
Well, it doesn't allow it, and it also keeps you on your toes of moving forward. Right. I remember one of the things when we moved out to Colorado. My wife was a music teacher in Des Moines. I was a musician for probably 5 or 6 years, teaching guitar lessons and everything like that. Yeah. And then we decided on a whim to just move out to Colorado. And I remember we were staying in my friend's grandpa's house, like realizing that we were duped by Craigslist about the amount of about the rent that we could afford in Colorado. And realizing, like, we showed up to a place where, like, oh, this is like $700 a month. Like, let's show up here. And then the guy's like, no, I got that's a phony ad and everything like that. This place isn't for rent. And we're like, shit. Like, we spent the last 3 months looking at places in Colorado on Craigslist, and we're like, okay, well, we can afford this. We can afford this. We can afford this. And when we got out there,
is it the scam? Is the scam where you say like, hey, here. Look at this place. You pay me first last month's rent, and
and you can have it.
Take that,
not even that in depth either. It was just kind of like pictures. We're just kind of like ballparking. Like, can we afford to live out here? Like, is this something that's feasible? And we're like, there's not a ton of them, but there are some available, and maybe you have to tweak what your preference is and everything like that. But all in all, we can afford moving out here.
Sure.
And then we got out there, we're like, no, those are all scams. Like, we can't do it. And I remember we were playing this show, and it was kind of like probably maybe a month into being out there, and it was just not making any money. And I'm like, fuck, what the fuck do we do? Like, oh my fucking God, did we make the biggest fucking mistake of our lives? Blah, 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 blah. And then we made $80 that night at a show. Like, we played a show. We made $80. We did like an open mic night before that show to like get people out, and we played with another band that like basically brought everybody out, but we made $80 and we felt like fucking millionaires. Honestly, it was like a kid when you get like $20 as a kid. You know, like I never have to work a day in my life ever. I'm like, it's fine. But we got $80 and it was like, oh my fuck, like we can go get food and like, oh, this is maybe this is gonna work. All right, and that's the mentality like day to day, but basically on the road of like, hey, did you make $100? Did you make $200 today? Awesome, cool. Make $200 tomorrow. You know, make $100 tomorrow, and make $50 the next day. Like just make money every day.
Yeah.
And if you can do that, and it can build and snowball, then eventually, you know, it can hopefully build into something. But
yeah,
it's a weird thing to look back on. Like $80 was just like, oh, okay, we're not making the biggest mistake of our life.
I think that's a lot. I mean, I think that's every young person, though, right? I mean, I say that. I mean, but not like I'm not demeaning.
Well, she left. I mean, but like she left her full-time teaching job that she had for 3 years. I was a musician, so it was, you know, less of a gamble for me to do it. But like me feeling bad for her, like, oh my God, you left your job with health insurance and benefits and
for this,
all this stuff, and fuck, what the hell are we doing? And then we made that money, and we're like, and it was for both of us, honestly, it was kind of like okay,
we can, this is doable.
Yeah. It's an odd analogy to like the Michael Scott Paper Company like storyline in The Office, basically, where the one person's picking up the other person, because for so long I was championing like, we're gonna be fine, we're gonna be fine, we're gonna be fine. And then that was my one like come to Jesus moment where I was like, oh fuck, we might have fucked up. And to her credit, she was like, no, we're gonna be fine, we're gonna be fine. And then we just again make $80, and it was like, okay, all right, that's better than nothing. That's crazy. That's better than nothing. And then, I mean, we always made, like I said, like we didn't make money, but we made enough to keep doing what we were doing, which at that time was
right. And that's what you need at that point
on the road,
right?
We have enough money to get to the next place.
Another tank of gas and back on the road again.
It's where those great songs come from, man.
Me and you and a dog named Boo. And what's Bob Seger? Bob Seger.
Yeah, Turn the Page.
Turn the Page. Yeah. Like that's
apparently about Dubuque. I don't know if you know this.
No, see, hold on.
His road manager. We can look it up. I'll look it up, but hold on.
It's so funny. I was talking about I mean, this is like an old wives' tale. I love this old wives' tale.
It's not, though. It's real.
That I think it was, it took place in, I want to say it's Michigan or something. I want to say, because there's a Wikipedia article, there's a Wikipedia entry about it.
Yeah.
So the urban legend where I'm from, Southwest Iowa, was that the walk into a restaurant strung out from the road, right?
Yep.
Took place in the Happy Chef in Creston, Iowa, which is along Highway 34, about an hour and a half, 2 hours east of Omaha. Uh-huh. And that's
an urban legend, though.
But that's the urban legend. But
hold on, it's his manager. Hold on 1 second, we'll find. So, Turn the Page, Bob's great road song came along in 1972. While we were driving, this is from his manager, Tom. How are we going to say that? Westshire? How about that? Tom Westshire?
Hold on, right here. Westshire or Westshire?
Westshire. Apologize for the pronunciation, but road manager for Seeger remembers the same incident. Turn the Page.
Don't remember that.
Bob's great road song came along in 1972 while we were driving home from a gig. I think we were in Dubuque, Iowa, which is where Nathan and I currently are.
That's where we are. It's a wonderful town.
Yeah, lovely town on the bluff. But in Dubuque, Iowa, in winter, and stopped at a restaurant. We stood out when we entered a store or a gas station or a restaurant in Mass. At the restaurant, it was particularly bright inside, so there weren't any dark corners to hide in. All these local guys would look at us. What are these guys? Is that a woman or a man? Just like in the song, that was one incident, but there were so many others on the road that led Seeger to write that song. So probably it might be a combination, but his road manager at least references Dubuque, Iowa.
Right. Seeger said he wrote the song in a hotel room in Eau Claire, Wisconsin.
Another beautiful bluff town.
Another beautiful bluff town.
Yeah.
Eau Claire.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I mean, I love, the idea of a rock and roll star just being so like out of place in the Midwest. I think that's so funny.
Well, I always like the idea just because I have the remembering the experience of doing it, of just like writing songs in a hotel room. I mean, that's fun.
Can we write a song about writing a song in a hotel room?
I'm sure we can write a song about writing a song in a hotel room.
Here I am, just sitting in a hotel room.
These four walls,
These four walls. I can't even go
Gideon
to the
Bible.
This Gideon Bible ain't no help.
Yeah. Well, we go back. We talked about that Simon and Garfunkel time traveling Bible lyric.
Oh
movie,
yeah,
that's a
good idea.
But it's weird being on the road. I mean, when finding a hotel room, I mean, it was much more. Yeah. It was much more prevalent and commonplace back then. Just because.
Yeah, you stayed at a motor lodge.
You stayed at a motor lodge motel room, which is part of my affiliation or affinity for staying.
Are you affiliated with the motor lodge?
I'm not affiliated. I want to be. I really
You're not
do.
affiliated with me. Yeah.
But my affinity though for wanting to stay at like motor lodges, motels as we pass, like there's always every time we pass one, I'm like, would you stay there? Like to my wife, I'm like, would you stay there?
Yeah.
And then she's like, no, or yeah, I would. I'm like,
that's interesting. I mean, for me, like,
I love it. It's a good test.
I know that it's such a gamble. That's my problem.
Yeah.
Is that
I love that gamble though.
I'm not a gambling man. Oh. So the idea that might be a total dump and is like to the point where it could be dangerous. Yeah. Just bacteria wise, cleanliness wise, that I would not feel comfortable sleeping there. So,
but here's the beautiful thing about being on the road with no money is that's
your option.
No, that doesn't even come into question. You're not even like, I don't know if that's sanitary. It's like, I don't even know if I can afford unsanitary motel rooms. Oh, so you're like, because there were a handful of nights that we would just pull over to a rest stop and just sleep in the car, which is super sketchy. I mean, outside of bacteria and everything like that, there's just sleeping at a roadside rest stop and everything. But I remember there was a time we went, we were driving cross country again because that trip between Colorado and Iowa is fucking long. It's
like 14 hours. What are you talking about?
14 hours. And if you do it like 5 times a year, it gets really fucking boring. And so I remember we were probably coming from, I think we were in the Southeast. So I think we were down in Florida, Georgia, all that.
Florida,
stuff.
Georgia line. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't want to reference that, but here we are. So anyway, we were on after that leg, and then we were driving through Nebraska, and it just got to the point where like, you know what? There's a $50 motel that we can just stay in. So we did, and we had our cat with us for some fucking reason because we were young and stupid. Yeah,
that's a great idea.
We just brought our cat on.
Let's just bring an animal into this situation.
We didn't want to leave it with our friend and his grandpa. So. But we stayed in this hotel room, and it's again a situation where we're walking, and we're like, oh, yikes. Okay, don't touch anything. Just don't touch anything.
But, don't touch anything.
Yeah, we had a wonderful night. It was fine, and our cat ended up getting. We woke up the next morning, and we're like, where the fuck's the cat? We don't have any idea where the fucking cat is. And again, disgusting hotel room, and. So,
crawling on the floor, licking under the bed. Ugh.
Yeah, right. So what we did is we looked under the bed and noticed there was a giant hole under the bed. And so we had to lift up the mattress of this dirty hotel room. Our cat was inside, wouldn't come out, was just hunkered down, cat style, like this. So you have to go further into the depths. And then it was so weird. We lifted up the couch and there was a few baby toys on the ground and just random knickknacks where you're like, no one's looked under the bed when they clean
Nobody's moved the bed.
No one's moved the bed to clean
it. Anything.
Exactly. I got so fucking mad at that cat. Whatever part of that cat I could grab is what I grabbed and just yanked out and I threw her. And we still have this cat. I love my cat to death. But when you make me crawl on a disgusting floor and then reach into God knows what bed, and then you're finding random just baby toys and garbage underneath the bed that clearly no one's touched forever. I'm like, I'm pissed at you. Okay, so you were gonna get grab whatever part of you and then yank you out. And then it was just, let's get the fuck out of here. And
we gotta go.
We gotta go
right now.
Yeah, you don't tip the maid service there.
Is it? Oh,
do you tip the maids at the hotel?
I don't. Because it's not like something I don't.
Apparently, it's one of the industries you're supposed to.
I didn't like. This was like news to me. Like,
when did you find that out?
That it was an actual thing. I mean,
that you're supposed to tip the maid service.
I remember Seinfeld talking about it.
Okay.
And I'm like, well, that's not a thing. Same thing with barbers. Like,
barbers or hairstylists?
Both.
Okay.
I mean, you're supposed to tip them all. I'm like, oh, why?
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but they just spent like 15 minutes and I gave them $20. I mean, not $20, but $15.
Mm-hmm.
That seems like, what? That's the same thing with bartender. I mean,
are you a tipper? Do you like to tip? Or do you tip?
I tip.
Okay.
I tip. But for the most part, I don't like it. Like, my thing is, for me, like when it comes to a bartender,
mm-hmm.
for the most part, if I'm paying for cash, that's a big thing, which I don't do anymore.
Why not?
Just because I don't ever have cash on me. But if I'm paying with stuff for cash, if I'm going up and buying round after round, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm generally trying to average $1 to $2 an hour. I think that's a solid plus up.
Okay.
Per patron, $1 or $2 per hour, I think is an appropriate amount. And granted,
multiple rounds.
Yeah, right. I mean, if I'm at a bar for 2 or 3 hours and I'm giving an extra $4 to that person over that 2 hours,
mm-hmm.
that seems like a lot, in my opinion.
Not per drink.
Not per drink.
I go per drink.
For me, my thing is, if I'm buying anything more than a beer,
mm-hmm. then
we can talk. But if I'm going up and I'm buying a pitcher of beer, or you're just opening a bottle of beer for me,
mm-hmm.
That's a totally different situation compared to a mixed drink or something along those lines.
And I see what you're saying, but what I feel like part of the reason of tipping, especially in the front end.
Oh, is I'm hitting them the first time.
No. Well, it's to maintain service.
Yeah.
Because in a crowded bar situation, which I know we don't experience
sure.
that, but
sure.
But in those situations, I want that person, and if they're good, they'll remember that person,
right,
tickled the penny, and then that's a term, by the way. But if they remember that, then you'll get good service, hopefully over other patrons and everything like that. That's the only reason why I would go per drink.
Right. My thing is, I am cognizant of what's happening around me. If it's a busy bar, yeah, I'm gonna hit them a little bit more just so they remember me. That's a thing.
Patience.
And I've got patience, and I'm like, hey, whenever you get a chance,
mm-hmm.
I see.
There's polite ways to do it.
Yeah, I see you. You see me. Okay, that's it. I don't expect you to fully remember the exact order people walked up to the bar.
No,
I don't.
That's impossible.
And I'm not going to sit there. I am going to sit here. I'm going to sit at the bar. I'm going to have my $20 bill sitting out, ready to go.
Let you know.
Letting you know that I'm here. I'm ready.
Paying customer.
I'm ready to go whenever you are. Now, it's going to piss me off if you ignore me. But then again,
But that's a sliding scale of tip then. If
right.
they're walking through and they're ignoring you.
Yeah.
If you have money displayed, first off, that's international barcode of I want to drink.
I'd hope so.
Right.
Right.
And especially if you've laid the groundwork of here's a nice tip, and if they're just ignoring you because there's other people that they want to touch first, no, then it's a sliding scale down. Because I think tipping is not, it's not necessary. It's appreciated, and it's an indicator of effort to put forth by the person.
Yeah,
and it shouldn't be something to lord over anybody, but it should be an indication of like, if I can understand the difference between when you're busy and you can't get to me, versus when you're blatantly ignoring me.
Right.
And those two things. Like we had a situation last week where we showed up to a bar and it was incredibly busy. That's all it was. It was just really, really busy.
Yeah.
And it's like we're not going to fault the bartenders or the waitresses for giving us bad service or the service being slow. It's just that's what it is. So we're going to tip the same versus when you go to a bar and it's,
then you get the cold shoulder.
You get the cold shoulder. Then you get less tip.
And if you're a fun, you're personable person, I'm paying attention to you. You're paying attention to me, and we're having our own little, we're having a relationship. Then I'm gonna recognize you a little bit more. My thing is the idea that if I go up and I'm buying a bottle of beer, and I walk up and I say, I want this beer, and they reach into a cooler, pull it up, pop the top, put it on the counter, and I go up 3 times within an hour to do that. The idea of giving them $3 for that action is fucking absurd.
No, but what I'm saying though is you're paying for the service, because in that situation, it's not based on what they're actually doing as a bartender. You're doing it to maintain service. If it's a empty bar, if it's empty bar, then I can understand it's a sliding scale, and that's all based on pricing by the bar, by the way. Because there's some bars that do the stupid fucking thing where they'll charge, $3.50 for a beer, for like a bottled beer, and then you give them a $5 bill, and it's like, I'm only gonna give you that $1 maybe 2 times out of that 3 times you go up in an hour, right? But there's gonna be 1 time where I give you 50 cents, and most people will take the $1 and leave 50 cents, which is a pricing mistake that they're making. Make it even, make it a
$3 bottle.
Make it a $3 bottle of beer. Give them $2 back. That means that one of those dollars for sure is going to the bartender. Yeah, it just makes it easier. But when I would say in a busy bar setting, as I would sacrifice that $1 and take the 50 cents to maintain that you're gonna do that.
Right, and I'm on board with that. My thing is, let's say there's 10 people in the bar, right? There's 10 people going up and buying drinks, and I would say that at $1 an hour, I want to say I'm probably on the lower end of the scale, right?
It's like total for 3 beers.
Well, yeah.
You're going 3 beers. No,
yeah.
You tip $1 for 3 beers.
Depends.
Yeah, you'd be on the lower end.
I'd be on the lower end.
Yeah.
So that's $10 an hour plus whatever they're making.
But you're not there for 10 hours.
Sure.
But you're not there. Like, you're there for an hour, maybe 2.
Right.
So that person's making $2 on you for waiting on you.
But I'm only there for 2 hours.
But they're only making that on you. So the incentive for them to go and wait on you versus the person that's tipping $1. Like say me, let's say you and me go up. It's separate people. We don't know each other, and we're both waiting for a beer. I've been tipping $1 per beer, and you've been tipping 50 cents per beer, less than like just in the mind.
It's generally every other round.
Mm-hmm. I always remember. I have a buddy who, like, let's go back to my $3.50 beer situation. I have a buddy, and I always fucking hate him for it. Because he'd always tell me about it. He would take that $1 and he would take the 25 cents and then he'd leave a 25-cent tip and he would push it towards him. I'm like, how you have not been fucking punched or your drink's been jizzed in and shit like that. Like, how you have not been put in your place by giving a 25-cent tip when you're given $1.50 back. In that exact same situation is mind-boggling to me.
Sure.
And no, then the bartender has every right to be like, no, I'm not fucking waiting on you. Fucking, like, here you go. I've been in that situation of someone like tipping you a comically low amount where you're like, no, here you go. You can have this back because clearly you need it more than I do. Like, I don't need 25 cents. Like, that's ridiculous.
And the thing,
I understand if you've been doing it, if you've been tipping for, the 3 beers in an hour where you've been tipping $1, let's say you tipped $1 for the 2 beers, and then the last one it's like 50 cents. It's like we're good,
right?
$2.50 on
on
hour
an hour
on an hour they've been here. Great, that's awesome. The old adage is $1 a beer. I mean, that's pretty much it.
But if I'm going up and I'm buying a pitcher of beer, and it's an $8 pitcher or whatever, it doesn't matter. But, sure, I'm leaving 2 or 3 because I'm buying enough for everybody.
Correct. Well, and I do agree with your argument about cash versus credit. I mean,
but I mean, at the end of the night,
this could be a podcast. This is
no, that's way too early.
It's way too 25 minutes in.
No, I mean, I'm giving 20% on my tab at the end of the night. Mm-hmm. That's
fair,
and that's generally
fair.
What I do.
That is good, if not great service. I mean, like great service. You know, if you're going 25%. For great service.
That's great. That's incredible.
You're doing above and beyond.
Right.
Which, I mean...
I do that. I mean, I'll do that for under $20. If it's like under $20
sure.
or whatever, 25%, that's...
Sure.
That's normal.
Right.
But
if you're going out to dinner and everything like that.
Yeah, no, I'm saying... I mean, if I'm... Yeah.
And I get it. The main argument comes down to the cash transactions.
Right.
Because a lot of people... I mean, with like credit cards and everything like that too. Like a lot of them will give you what like the percentage of tip is and everything like that. So a lot of people
that's a fucking scam.
Well, it is, but it's also they also started doing. I don't know if you've been to Subway recently, but when you pay with the card at Subway, they started asking you if you want a tip or not, and it's like, well, fuck,
no.
Well, yeah, but it's also like, am I a dick for? I did it the first couple times. I was like, oh yeah, I guess sure, yeah. Here's $2. You made my sandwich. You did it with a snippy attitude because you work at Subway. But,
right.
But here you go. And then it takes a little while and you're like, no, I'm not going to fucking do that.
I'm not going to fucking tip people.
Versus like a tip jar. The tip jar's always been there.
You're right.
You know, or like going to like Starbucks, they do it like, and they don't do it with credit cards, but there's always a tip jar there.
Yeah.
It's like,
I don't like it. I don't like that at all.
No, because that to me should be baked into
that. You should be able to.
Your wage.
Right.
Because a bartender or a waiter or waitress is making $7 an hour, you know, $8 an hour plus tips.
Is that what it is these days?
I don't know. That's what I was making when I was.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah. I mean, I want to say it was like $6-7 an hour plus tips. So it was baked into the, you know, salary or like not salary, but the wage that you're getting paid.
Right.
Versus
which was over minimum wage.
Yeah, at that time. Yeah, it was. Yeah.
You're getting more than minimum wage plus tips.
Yeah. But now it's, you know, if you're working at Subway or I guess Starbucks would be the most woke franchise here. I bet that's close to $15 an hour.
Oh, it depends on where you're at. I don't know. I'm imagining that's probably closer to 11 to 12 here in town. I'm guessing. That's me guessing.
Let's get the average here. Let's find out what the average.
I'd pull up. I mean, can you look up jobs at Starbucks?
I'm sure they're available. Average Starbucks. What do you think? Average Starbucks hourly rate?
Yeah. That includes managers, though. That's the thing.
Well, yeah, it does. But here's the pay scale. We'll just look at that. A barista is $9 to $14 an hour. A retail ship supervisor is $11 to $16, and then customer service supervisor is $11 to $18.
This is payscale.com.
Payscale, credible source.
Yeah, is it?
They have a little purple squirrel, it looks like, that can answer questions for us if we want. Retail store manager is $11 to $28 dollars. Averages out to about $17. I remember Popeyes in town was offering, I believe it was night manager, was like $48,000. Which is like more than a teacher makes.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
On average. But
that'd be a shitty job.
It'd be a shitty job. That's for sure. Shitty but job. We're just looking at, so would being a teacher, by the way.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. Do you want to deal with them when they're young or do you want to deal with them when they're
in
older?
Their 20s, yeah.
So,
I don't know, man.
I don't know. But they're all looking. I mean, if you look around, I mean, I know it's probably around all the country. Every fast food company is hiring. No one wants to do that work.
Nobody wants to do that work.
Everyone is hiring.
Because it sucks.
Yeah. But there's also this younger generation that feels like they don't need to do that job or they're above that job.
It's beneath them.
Yeah.
I would say that I remember like having that mindset that a fast food job is beneath me. I don't know where that would even come from. Like that is
how many fast food places existed in Afton, Iowa?
0.
Okay.
So the answer is 0.
So it was a fallacy, like a made up world.
No, like it's super weird.
Okay.
I mean, everybody.
But you knew that you were above it.
I knew I was above it.
Okay.
I didn't want to do food service. I mean, I did food service like for a summer for 6 months.
What food service did you do?
Well, it was for a pizza place here in town,
gotcha.
and it was I was pizza delivery / kitchen cook.
Gotcha.
And it was
hell.
It was fine. Like it was okay. And here's my thing.
Where did it come from though? Where did your?
I don't know. When
did you realize that you were above fast food
service? I have no idea.
Because you
like this was like a high school thing. I think. Okay. I don't know.
Does it come from movies? Does it come from
maybe
TV?
That could be it. I mean, I don't. And it's not like my cousin worked at Subway in Creston.
Okay.
And he's fine for the most part. It was great. I mean, we would go in, and he would just sit there and just give us all kinds of ridiculous. Yeah. I'll do a chicken breast sandwich and just like pile it ridiculously high, and I'm like, oh well.
My buddy who won't tip or will tip a quarter. I mean, he worked at Subway when we were in high school, and it was like a Willy Wonka golden ticket. You just walk in, you're like, I'll have a veggie with quotes around it and everything like that, and just load it up with everything. It was great to have the guy on the inside. I mean, It's always great, but when you're lumping in too, because I've never worked fast food, but I've worked in the food service industry for a while.
Right.
It seems like they're two different worlds, like two different industries. Like the fast food industry is different than the like food service industry.
Yeah.
And mainly where we're coming down to what the hourly wage is. I mean, really, that's the biggest distinguishing factor is that your hourly wage is lumping in tips, and then food service, is leaving that door open.
What's your opinion on tipping out? Like the cook staff.
I mean, that depends on the restaurant you're at, honestly.
For something about that always rubbed me the wrong way. I don't know what it is.
It depends because if you get a really high class restaurant, I mean, I've only worked in 2 or 3 what I would consider to be like high class restaurants and everything where there's so many more elements going on than you're in control of.
Sure.
So, if the steak isn't cooked right, I have to deal with it, right? But also if the steak is cooked right, I get all the benefit because somehow I'm the one that brought it to you.
Right.
So that I get like tipping it out because then you're more of a team. But like with the Tex-Mex.
Tipping out the bartender and.
Well, the Tex-Mex place that I worked at, they had like pre-made margaritas and, every food was just some combination of meat, beans, and meat, beans, and rice.
Yeah.
Just served in different form. Yeah, that's a little different because there's not like a lot of cuisine or culinary art going on. So in that place, if I recall, we tipped out the bartender.
Yeah,
but that's a lot because they're just making the drinks for you, and so that it's case by case. The fine dining, I understand it more so where everyone tips out everybody. I worked at a casino in college where we pooled tips. And I was pissed at that at the beginning. I was like, we're going to pool tips and then everyone's going to split them at the end of the night. And then the first night have I ever told you this story?
I don't know.
So the first night we went through all the training and everything like that. We had to get like I forget what it was called, but like certified to be a bartender and everything. Okay. Learn all the rules basically.
Yeah.
To be a certified bartender at a casino. And the first night I'm working is a Saturday night, grand opening at this casino in the middle of Iowa. And I'm going to school at the University of Iowa. And, the Hawkeyes are playing. There's a football game. So I'm like, well, I don't have to work till tonight. So sure, I'll go to the football game this morning. Ugh. And so we go and tailgate. I was like, yeah, I'll have some beers. That's fine. Whatever. Yeah. Just a couple, And
real casual.
Halftime comes, I'm fucking shit-faced. I'm like, oh, fuck.
Classic Bobby.
Oh, fuck. I need to go because I got to work tonight and fuck. So I go home and I sleep for like maybe 2 hours and I oversleep. I wake up, my alarm's like going off and I'm like, oh, fuck, I got to go like now. I got to go. And again, it's this grand opening of this casino. I show up. hold it together, work for like 8 hours. You know, again, young kid. So you can do these
that.
type of things when you're 21.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever. I must have been 21. But so I worked all night, but I made $800 in tips because we pooled our money because everyone pooled tips. So everyone walked away. Like, it was fucking bananas. When we walked away, we're splitting up tips and like handing me this just like mafia style wad of cash. I'm like, the fuck? And at this point, I've sobered up. I mean, like, it's just weird, like trance state of everything. And I'm like, $800? Oh, what a great day. And went home and I think I slept for like 48 hours, but it was a great example of pooling tips. I was like, thank God. Cause all these, cocktail waitresses walking around, like there's just the amount of people being around, pooling tips really worked out in our favor in that situation. But
yeah, that's funny. I don't know.
I can tell.
Not you.
I'm just fucking with you.
You son of a bitch. My thing when I was delivering pizzas is that when I delivered a pizza, I just wanted $1. That's it. That's what I wanted. I mean, that's what I expect. That was my bare minimum.
Mm-hmm.
And when I'm going out and I'm delivering 4 or 5.
What was your hourly rate for?
Like $4.
So you wanted $5 an hour?
I wanted
Or how many pizzas could you deliver an hour?
4. I mean, that was kind of like the average.
Gotcha.
It was like 4. I mean, like I'd go out like twice an hour with, two pizzas a piece, But also like, if you're buying $100 worth of pizzas, I expect more than $3.
That's true.
And that's just kind of, that was kind of my very sliding scale.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're ordering pizza. I know. And I wasn't going out in the dead of winter or anything like that. So I wasn't expecting a lot.
Gotcha. The one place I ever delivered pizzas, that was the most fun or some of the most fun I've ever had at a restaurant.
Yeah.
Or some of those like zen, peaceful, like the dude moments that I've ever had. It was just like, I worked at an Applebee's basically that made pizza instead of just like the neighborhood bar and grill. Are you familiar with a Boston's Pizza?
Absolutely not.
No, most people aren't. It's Canadian. But there was one in Iowa City and I worked there.
How'd that work out?
It was fine.
Are they closed?
Oh, yeah. I think it's a Noodles and Company now.
Oh.
But anyway, I mean, it's fine.
Not a Boston Market.
It's not a Boston Market. I'm often confused with Boston Market.
Right.
Yeah, no. But there was a few times where we'd get to drive out and deliver pizzas. And it was like this beautiful driving around, but also working, but no one's watching me or like I'm not in a place. I think it really opened up this door of working, but not inside an office or not inside a building.
Interesting.
That really drives me to this day.
Yeah.
Does it bother you to work inside an office?
No.
Has it ever bothered you?
No.
Yeah.
I mean, here's the deal. My thing is, I do what I want. For the most part, like that's my thing is like.
But you do live then, or you do work in an unsupervised environment.
Yes, I do not have. I'm not working. And even when I would do like a stage show or something, like when I would be a stagehand or something, yeah, sure. I'd have like somebody, within very close quarters watching over me and doing exactly what, I'm doing all the time.
Mm-hmm.
That never really bothered me. And maybe that was just
because of the personalities that you're working with.
Yeah. I don't know if that was also like, when I would do stagehand stuff, that was always like second work. That was like side gig stuff. So it was always like
side hustle is what the kids call it.
That's what the kids call it. For me, it was almost like, and still to
just trying to stay fired.
And to this day, it's kind of weird, being the age that I am and still doing side hustles. And I feel
welcome to your future, kids.
I don't know. That's my
life
choices.
is a side hustle.
My choices in life have led me to continue to work multiple jobs. But for me, for the most part, I've always viewed like my side gigs. When I would, and I still do, I'll take days off of work to go work.
Yeah.
And for me, I either view them as a an enjoyable break in my routine, or I use them also a lot of as like professional development. If I'm like not working in my normal job to go work for somebody else also doing video production, I try to view that as much as professional development as I can, because I'm working with people that I don't, well, not that I don't usually work with, but that I'm not working with on a daily basis. So I'm learning and I'm approaching things, and I'm working in a different facet than I normally would. And so for me, I always try to keep that mindset. Now, when I would do stagehand work, I'd still try to like see it the same way, where it's either this is completely different, I'm doing something completely different today, and I try to embrace that, because variety is the spice of life. Of course it is.
Of course.
So there's always that. So I've never been too bogged down with working in an office. Now, when I was working editing hunting shows and stuff, and it's just like, here I am,
kind of trapped a little bit.
My second week in a row where all I'm doing is editing deer hunting. Hey, I'm gonna go for a fucking half-hour walk. Don't mind me. Right. See you later. And that's it. And maybe it's because I was working for a small company. Maybe it's because or like when I'm working at the university, and I get too bogged down. I'm like, I'm gonna go for a walk, and that's okay. Because if you got a problem with that, then you're fucking crazy. And I don't work for crazy people.
Yeah. I always think about, it seems like from the moment that I had a job, my first job, I worked at Walgreens, and I begged for it. I begged to get a job.
Weird.
When I was 15, I want to say. Oh. And my grandpa worked at Walgreens and had an inn, and it was like, and he told me, he's like, you don't want to start this. You want to. You don't want this, Bobby. Yeah, you want to maintain the times that you don't have to work, or like cherish the times that you have to work. And I was like, no, I want a girlfriend, I want money, I want to maybe be able to do this. Like, it's fine, I want to work. Again, my buddy worked at Subway and had money, and I was like, I want to do this. But quickly I realized, it's like, oh yeah, this is like a sentence basically. Like when you go in there and you're just basically like. And again, it's working at Walgreens. It's not that thrilling. It's a lot of staring off into the distance and watching the clock, which a lot of jobs can be. And, and that's part of the thing with like food industry, like moving into that. You don't get a chance if you're working in the right place to look at the clock, which it moves much quicker. And then the money's much better. And I know we've talked on the podcast about some of our best jobs, even. Like when I got my coat check job or my VIP job or VIP room job at the casino and everything like that, those were great jobs to have, but I would still find myself driving around. I would like leave like an hour before I had to be at work, especially in college. I would leave like an hour before I had to be at work, and I would just drive around, and that'd be like me time, like getting prepared to like go to work. And even like in a job, like I didn't necessarily hate, like I didn't dread going there. It's just, I dreaded the idea that I couldn't leave without someone telling me I can go, basically. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Where I've always then since then I've strived to have a job or like be in an industry where I'd be like, well, I'm going to do this for a little bit, and then I'm going to do it for a little bit, and then I'm going to not do it, and then I'm going to come back to it. Yeah. It'll get done. Trust me, it'll get done. Yeah. But I'm going to just determine when I get it done and when I don't. And if someone tells me like, you have to be here at this time, and you have to stay till this time. Yeah. Part of me is just like, you can't fucking trap me. I'm not a rat.
That's interesting. Yeah. I mean, since 2006, I haven't had a job where these are the hours you have to work. That being said, I mean, there's always, this is an event. I mean, you're covering this game, you're covering.
Correct.
There's that, hey, and you don't get to leave in the middle of a, basketball game or whatever. But
that's kind of avant-garde, a la carte,
right.
stuff attached to the job. And I would say, like, I'm trying to think, because 2006, I mean, obviously being on the road is working, going back to our conversation, being on the road, that's a 24/7 job. Most people don't understand that. Like, it's, again, $80 was huge.
Survival.
Huge.
Your survival.
Your survival. So it's constant. Every minute you're not working is a minute you're not making money or have a chance to make money.
Yeah.
And so it's terrifying.
Yes.
If you don't have a safety net underneath, it's a really good motivator to work your fucking ass off. Which I think goes into I don't want somebody to tell me I have to be here from this point to this point. And,
sure.
Even times, I guess, because since 2006, I've had multiple jobs where I've had to, I guess, be there for a certain time, but it's also like really low pressure jobs. But what's coming into my mind is when I had to help open a casino up by the Minnesota-Iowa border. Gorgeous flatlands, just nothing for miles and miles and miles. But one of the times I dropped out of college twice.
Classic Bobby,
right? So the second time I dropped out of college, I moved. No, was that the first or second?
That's one of my favorite bits in Super Troopers. Is they get accidentally I don't remember who is it. They get locked in the back of in the back of a semi. Mm-hmm. They're like, oh shit, we're locked in the back of the semi. And then there's no transition or anything. It's just like the garage door open. I mean, the back door opens and then the second time I had herpes or I had crabs.
I had crabs.
It's just like, oh geez.
The second time I did it.
That's good.
If I'm thinking back, it was the first. It was the first time. It was the back. It was the back end of the first time that I dropped out of college.
Right before I not re-enlisted. The second time I got herpes.
But anyway, so I'm first off, the first time I dropped out of college, I went and got my 2-year degree, which we were talking about earlier. I think is the best way to do it. I think everyone should go get your 2-year degree because I had a wonderful time. It's the reason why I love the show Community is my experience at Kirkwood Community College in Iowa City, Iowa.
If you can't go to college, go to Kirkwood.
Exactly. But it was a great out. It was a great negotiating tactic with my parents to be like, look, I'll go do this. And then I'll have my 2-year degree. And then I can go off and do what I want to do. And I can always come back.
Go get your associates.
Yeah. And so that's what I did. And so I moved out to L.A. for 6-7 months. Mm-hmm.
Did you see Sheryl Crow there?
No, but I did meet, what's her name? Not Terry Hatcher, but Eva Longoria.
Oh. Yeah. Those are two people I would not mix and match.
I was at a Kinkos with Eva Longoria. And we were making copies. I was printing out my resume. What the fuck Eva Longoria was doing at a Kinkos in Hollywood. I have no idea, but it was totally her. And we were as close as you and me are right now.
Did you make eye contact?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You're like, resume.
If I had any balls, I would have hit on her. Headshots.
Trying to find and get my job. I'm unemployed.
But she was in sweatpants and it was weird that I recognized her because it was one of the things it was at the height probably or right at the beginning.
The glamour wasn't showing. She didn't see
she was at a Kinkos. What on earth? I mean, again, it was before Twitter and social media where a person like Eva Longoria could go out to Kinkos.
This sounds like the worst short story ever, by the way.
But if I would have ended up with her, just ended up being with Eva Longoria.
Grab a drink?
I want to go grab a drink.
Let you proofread my resume. God. Eva Longoria.
I always say not going to that Pantera show is my biggest regret. Maybe my biggest regret was not hitting on Eva Longoria. Fuck.
At a Kinkos.
God damn it. I was right there, man. I was right there. And part of it was just play it cool. Just play it cool. Don't be starstruck.
Hold on. Now, I'm trying to remember our conversation about the most famous person you've seen or met.
Oh, well.
I don't remember that being in the mix.
The most famous person we've become friends with was our conversation.
Oh, is that it?
Yeah. Oh. Whereas, I mean, right now it's Dwyer Brown. So. But out of famous people I've met, I've fucking met a lot of famous people out in LA.
Was it Eddie Money? Was it I don't remember what we settled on.
That became friends with?
Yeah, or not? No,
I mean,
that you had actual interaction with, or
actual interaction. I mean, I met Johnny Knoxville and Steve-O out in LA. Mila Jovovich, I ran into her. the band Incubus ate at a restaurant that I was at.
Oh yeah.
But as far as like talking, like I gotta remember if I said
you didn't make eye contact with Eva Longoria and go resume.
I don't know if I said anything to her. I don't think I did. But
that's weird.
It was one of those things too. It was weird because I'm like, well, I don't expect to see Eva Longoria at a Kinkos in Hollywood at like 9:00 at night.
Oh, it's 9:00 at night.
That's fucking weird.
I wonder if she had to do something for a kid.
Maybe.
You know, was she getting a giant poster board made about photosynthesis?
But she was short and she had rockin' tits. That's what I remember.
Oh, you heard it here first, folks.
Yep. Eva Longoria, friend of the show. God, if she's listening to this podcast right now, you just remember that guy from.
Do you remember being sad at a Kinkos in 2005? Bobby remembers.
It may not have been special for you, but it was special for me.
Yeah, I get that.
So speaking of sad, so when I moved back, I had to open a casino in.
That's right.
The Iowa and Minnesota border.
Sure.
And basically, it was like 16-hour days. It was fucking ridiculous, but.
That's what you got to do. You got to get the show done.
Well, yeah, because the thing is that it opened up on the Iowa side of the
Minnesota
state line.
Don't want none of that.
They don't because of the Native American casinos and everything up there.
Right.
So
Mystic Lake.
Yeah.
I bet they were pissed.
People traveled a long ways to come to this casino, and again, it was just people out the door, like. Ugh. So everyone getting signed up for the Players Club, everything like that. It was just a constant onslaught. There was no time. Again, a job where there's no time to look at the clock.
Sure.
And even if it's a 16-hour day, I'd rather do that. And I'd rather like just have constant barrage of people coming in.
Instead of staring at the wall.
Right. Not knowing what the fuck. Like wondering like, what the fuck am I doing here? Oh my God.
I guess I'll go face a bunch of product.
I guess I'll watch the screensaver like try to bounce into the corner perfectly.
Yeah.
You know, just like that office joke. That office joke is funny.
That's
because
you relate to that?
I did that for many, many years. Or not many years, but I did that for a couple years. Trying to watch the screensaver hit the exact corner.
Maybe it's just me and my like cheerful disposition. I don't know if I'm trying to remember of anything I've hated.
Would you have said something to Eva Longoria in the Kinkos?
I probably would have like sat there and shook my resume like that. Yeah. I gotta get a job because I'm unemployed, I guess. You got a job? Do you need somebody to teach you about photosynthesis?
That's what you would have done?
Probably not. I would maybe a slight head nod is probably the most.
That was my MO out there. I was just like, just act like you're like, I know who you are. I don't need
It's fine. You're a person too. At no point do I need to interject myself into your life.
I don't need to fanboy out right now. First off, I'm not a fan.
Right.
And we're at a Kinkos.
I can't even tell you a single. Was she in the movie with Michael Douglas where they were both Secret Service agents? I don't remember.
I'll look it up.
I think that was like her one chance at a movie.
At a movie. They're like, we're gonna give you one chance, okay?
And it wasn't good. Oh. It wasn't good. My thing is, I'm trying to remember the name. Kiefer Sutherland.
That's her, man.
That's her. Short, rockin' tits.
Short.
That's
on her Wikipedia page. Eva Longoria is an American actress with short rockin' tits.
Weird.
The fact that she is a American actress, producer, director, restaurateur, activist, and businesswoman. That's her entire thing.
Real Renaissance woman.
I missed the boat. Was she even married then? Oh, I could have had a chance.
The Sentinel.
God,
I'm good.
Yeah, well, Kim Basinger was in that movie too.
I believe she played the president. She played the first lady.
Classic Kim Basinger. Kim Bass is what we call her in Hollywood.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
The Sentinel. Yeah, Kiefer Sutherland was in that movie too.
God, Kiefer. You mean Jack Bauer?
That was like him. Like he was trying to get back in the game a little bit.
Yeah. Were you a fan of 24 when it came out?
Yeah, the novelty really hit me. I mean, like the first season, I was
a huge fan.
I really enjoyed the novelty of it, and then I got busy with college, and then I got married and had kids.
Oh, cool.
And then Hulu came out.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, hey, cool.
24.
I like 24. I'll watch 24. And I don't remember. I think that was at the 5th season or something, when I picked it back up.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, okay. All right. I'm enjoying this for the most part. And then the next season came out. I'm like, oh, so they just have like weird, like level boss fights where like it's this person who's behind the plot. And they'll do 4 episodes where it's that person's behind the plot.
Yeah.
And then, it's really not the Chinese. It's actually this German technocrats.
Yeah.
Okay, they're behind the plot. Nope, it's actually this Saudi billionaire.
Yeah.
They're behind the plot. And then turns out it was just like America the entire time. Some like deep-seated CIA.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Like that happened like...
It's a weird thing.
I'm not going to attach myself to this villain because this villain's not he's not the actual villain. So fuck him.
It's too early to determine that this person's actually the one that's, the actual villain.
Yeah.
I find it's interesting because I've tried to show my wife 24 since within the last probably 2 years, probably.
Oh, yeah.
I started watching it. But it's a weird mix of ahead of its time because it's so bingeable. It's a bingeable show. Like,
I'm sure.
I remember buying 24 on DVD. And then just skipping school for 24 straight hours and playing video games and watching 24. Again, why I dropped out of college a couple times. But it was also one of those things when you do actually have it available online and you're binging it.
Yeah.
You see it. If you're watching season into season to season into season, you're like, oh, no, this is a total formula. And I know exactly. It doesn't hold the same weight.
Right.
Versus it's a weird time frame or timestamp of if I'm watching this week to week, it's must see television.
You're forgetting. You
forget enough or everything's new and it's must see television.
Yeah.
And even if the breaks that you're having to lead to the next season, you're still tuning in. It was an interesting time. Those early 2000s.
So weird. It's so weird.
Because then again, like you talk about buying a DVD box set, like I think I owned most of the first 5 or 6 seasons.
That's great.
And then would watch it and be like, all right, we're going to put this on and we're going to binge it.
What that was like for me, that was just such an incredible thing. I remember being like, holy cow. Like this is so great. You get to watch. I remember
of DVD, just
DVD, being able to just box sets of DVDs. I'm like, I cannot believe I can watch this entire thing back to back. I love it. It's so great. It's so awesome.
They're becoming more valuable nowadays, honestly.
Oh, I bet.
With like the canceled shows, like I know I have some. I know I have most of it. It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia on DVD. Yeah. So when the Lethal Weapon blackface episodes get canceled or like
they're gone.
Blacked out and everything on Hulu, I'm like, well, I have them on DVD
somewhere.
Or like I remember Freaks and Geeks was a thing when I was in college. I love that show. I think it's one of my top 5 favorite shows. I remember the petition that was passed around to get basically the DVD box set made and everything, and I signed the petition. When it came out, it was like $60. It was super expensive. Bought it. Still have it to this day, and it's gone from all the streaming platforms. You can't even buy it like on Amazon or anything like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's gone. It's wiped.
Is that on Peacock?
It might be on Peacock. That might be it. Yeah, yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. Have you got Peacock yet? Are you gonna get Peacock?
No. I got to get rid of my Hulu and my Disney Plus. That's on my list of things.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Even with
I got to get rid of them.
You don't like I
don't watch Hulu because I have found that I fucking cannot stand any commercials at all.
The upgrade on Hulu to no commercials was a game changer. It's worth every fucking penny.
It might be, but I don't want to pay the fucking money for it. Mm-hmm. And Disney Plus, I think my free trial's up.
Coming up.
My free through Verizon.
Coming up.
Don't.
I haven't watched.
It was. It was interesting because it was episodic. It wasn't necessarily binge. It wasn't an 8-hour movie. Mm-hmm. It was episodic where, we're going on. So it was a little bit old school, which was when I watched it last year was a nice little change of pace where, we're on a different mission. This is a completely self-contained story every episode. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Oh, Bill Burr wants to show up on this one with Clancy Brown. Okay. All right. Fun.
That's between Bill Burr and his guy.
Yeah, exactly. All right. But then I look at stuff like, I need to start watching The Haunting of Bly Manor. I got to get into that on Netflix. But I really love The Haunting of Hill House, which was a 8-hour-long Netflix movie, pretty much. Mm-hmm. I love the shit out of that. I'd rather have a super long television show a movie that is broken into chapters. That's what it is. Mm-hmm. It's a movie that's broken into chapters. I thank God for audiobooks. I've really enjoyed I've gotten back into listening to some audiobooks lately, mm-hmm. and I've found, it's so enjoyable just having that much full, rich content. And that's what it is. It's rich. Yeah. It's detailed. It's all kinds of stuff. And you can really, get into the nitty-gritty of stuff. And that's what you're able to do in a TV show. You can get into the nitty-gritty. We can expand on shit if we want.
In that format of it being like a long movie. I recently listened to the Matt Taibbi interview with Joe Rogan, or on Joe Rogan.
On Spotify?
No.
Is that on Spotify?
Apple. I'm an Apple guy through and through. You know this, okay?
Oh, yeah?
But it was interesting because they were talking. Did you listen to that one?
Absolutely. I don't think so.
It was in November of last year, which is kind of fun, time travel.
I enjoy Matt Taibbi for the most part.
Yeah. I wanted to hear what he had to say, and it's an interesting time travel, honestly, between listening to something from November of 2019, where they're they're hoping they're just for the entertainment of Joe Biden running against Trump and everything like that. With just this, they don't know what the fuck's coming.
They don't know what's coming down.
They're talking about Epstein and everything like that, which is great. Really did a good job of dissecting the news and everything, and basically the problem.
He's a journalist, yeah.
Yeah, well, dissecting news organizations and the attention span of the perceived listener or perceived audience member,
right?
And the perception from the news outlets is that the
you got 5 minutes
at best.
5 minutes.
You maybe got 30 seconds.
We've got to have 8 talking heads in 5 minutes.
Well, especially that's news-based TV, film,
8-person round table
versus written journalistic news. Okay, so you're comparing those two, it's where a TV spot or a news spot.
I don't even think it's even just written.
But
news.
No, it's reading how many words people can read in an article versus how long they can watch a news segment. Those two things have shrunk incredibly in the last 20 years. But we can both say that written news has shrunk even to headlines.
Yeah,
we've shrunken from articles.
Nobody wants to. Everybody's just cruising through headlines. Yeah. But I think that with that being said, I think there's a lot of hunger for people to listen to everything.
But that's the point that they make of long form podcasts, long form documentaries, long form content where you're talking about basically you can get really in depth to it like a TV show, like a normal TV show wouldn't play out this way, but it's really a 6-hour movie. That's how we're going to present it.
Yes.
So it's a different presentation of the material, and it's not to the air of the news papers and news organizations and everything like that.
Yeah.
That the attention span of the listener or reader or just person receiving the information, it's not limited. If it's interesting, they'll attach themselves to it.
They will go to it.
It's all in the presentation of it.
I don't know how much of it's the presentation. How many people?
Well, it is because if they're look at Making a Murderer, I'll just put that
I was going Tiger King.
Okay, sure. Tiger King is a great example. Yeah. If Tiger King was a multiple article series in a newspaper, would you follow it the same way as if it were?
No, just because I'm not reading. But I would listen. I would listen to it though.
That's the basically that's the presentation of the story. Because it was written about, there were news stories about it.
Sure.
There was news stories about the, his establishment.
Right. If I were to pitch to you, I want to make a feature-length documentary about this crazy guy in Kansas who has his tiger shelter. Am I going to the movies to watch it?
No. It's 10 hours total.
Right. I'm not. Nobody's going to say that. No. But enough people would sit there and watch a 10-hour documentary
at home
with it, and I think that's incredible.
It is. I agree with you 100%. It's incredible.
So people's
attention span is oddly longer than. It's like they're burning the candle at both ends, because attention spans. Attention spans are longer or shorter than we've ever experienced before.
Yeah.
But in many ways, if the content is quality enough, they'll latch themselves on and they'll binge that 10-hour thing. I remember Tiger King. I watched that thing in fucking one night. I could not take my eyes off it.
It's really well done, and it's a very fascinating story. Now, as far as like cultural wise, it's done. It's done. It's cooked. We're over. We're past it. But we know about it and we understand it. And I think that's a big thing that we need to understand, is that just because something is culturally out of vogue, we can't look at these documentary series or any kind of media in this vein as being, I don't know, what's the word? A fad. This isn't what the Fox says. This isn't Gangnam Style.
Well,
this is,
I see what you're saying. Because there are real lives at stake.
Well,
he's still in jail, and like Making a Murderer is a good example. Like Brendan Dassey's still in jail.
Still in fucking jail.
Yeah. So there's
Can you imagine?
Outside of the vogue of the pop culture, there's also these things that, and maybe that's where the attention span of the people is actually much less. It's because it's all fleeting and for entertainment, and that's all it is.
But
it's not a call to action.
I learned a lot.
Sure, but it's not a call to action for the actual things going on.
I consumed Tiger King, and that's the phrase I'm going to use. I'm going to verbiage I'm using.
I think
I consumed it, and it is. Is it healthy? Is it not healthy? I don't know. I consumed it. I chewed through it, and I enjoyed it. And now it's a Taco Bell the next day. I'm not worried about it. It's not on the tip of my tongue. I'm not sitting there reminiscing about it, but I can still recall it, and I can still remember it, and I can still enjoy it to some extent.
It was our second episode.
Was that our second episode?
Yeah, but anyway.
Anyhow, that seems forever ago.
Doesn't it, though?
I mean,
thank you guys for listening.
It's the idea. It's so crazy. Like, where are you at in the quarantine? Oh, we're in Tiger King. It's Tiger King.
It's the beginning of it.
Isn't that crazy? Yeah. That's insane. Yep. Absolutely insane.
Yeah.
But the point I'm trying to make is that I learned a lot, and I think there's certain aspects of me consuming that that I've retained a lot. As far as understanding a little bit of that world, and I mean, I'm not really familiar with roadside zoos, but
more so now.
I am a lot more so now than I was, and that's that's the good thing about, I'm retaining that a lot more than I did when it was 2 or 3 or 4 headlines that I scrolled past in Twitter.
And that's and to the point of what that I think Matt Taibbi was making in the Joe Rogan interview and everything. It's just that the way to solve the problems that we have with news, basically, like, because news has become very biased. It's just basically like an echo chamber. What do you mean? Right? But it's basically an echo chamber repeating what you already believe to yourself. And then there's no dissenting voice, basically. It used to be everyone gathers around. And to his point, he makes a great point of like every news outlet, ABC, NBC, CBS, was trying to get all of the audience instead of just one specific sector of the audience. And so you have to be much more middle of the road. You have to actually give both sides. You have to be like, here's the hard truth. This is the thing that we, you maybe thought this, but you were wrong. Which is true, because you can't just be so one-sided that you lose half the audience, because there wasn't, back in the 60s, 70s, into the 80s, even into the 90s, you didn't get the 24-hour news cycles that, I don't say Anchorman 2 got a lot of things right, but they did get the analogy of like that the 24-hour news cycle is a bad thing.
You've said that a lot.
I know, but
Anchorman 2.
I know. I stand by it. I stand by it. They didn't get a lot of things right, but damn, did they nail the problem with the 24-hour news cycle.
It's a problem. I mean, as far as like,
because you need content. And that's what he kind of was talking about, of like, instead of doing these 3-month, investigations to write these articles or to come up with these conclusions. It's like, no, we just need content. We just need anything you can throw at the fucking wall that sticks. It doesn't matter if it takes 3 months to come up with, or if it takes 25 seconds of a nip slip. Like, that's all we need is content. And that's a problem when you look at someone like the streaming service. If you just, like as an analogy, you're going to look at like the streaming services, where something like, I don't know, like Hulu's original series that they've put out are not nearly as successful as Netflix's original series.
No.
Because there seems to be something of like, well, just throw things at the wall and see what sticks. But can you name one original Hulu series that you've watched or that you can even recall?
So there was Castle Rock. That was the adaptation, kind of a continuation of the Stephen King universe a little bit.
Okay.
That I got 4 or 5 episodes in, and I'm like, I am done watching commercials. I watched the first season of The Handmaid's Tale up into the penultimate episode, and then I'm like, I'm done watching commercials because this is fucking
So it's
annoying.
all commercial based. Really?
It's just so like the act breaks were like so contrived. And anyhow, what was the other one?
Well, that's an interesting take. That's an interesting take, because is part of the reason why Netflix's success of their original series, though, because there are not those breaks.
And
they're more They're more. I'm sorry to cut you up, but they're more continuation from episode, like beginning to end. I mean, I'm just what I'm saying. Like the commercial break is the beginning of the show to the end of the show. And there's no like break where the commercial.
There's like pretty heavy scene breaks, but it's a little bit more in a 3-act structure instead of a 5-act structure.
Right.
We're not worried about trying to set up something that is gonna, oh my gosh, I can't believe that happened 10 minutes, and then when you come back from commercial, it's resolved in a minute.
Right.
I don't like that.
Which is what happens when you're watching a streaming show.
Yeah.
Like, something like Lost. Like, I remember that was one of the first shows.
Oh my God.
We binged on Netflix and everything. And it was like, well, you can tell like when the commercial break's there and then it's coming back. So there's these weird cuts when the commercials aren't there. You're like, obviously it's better when the commercials aren't there.
Yeah.
But it takes from the flow of the show, because that's not how the show was built.
Yeah.
And like going back to like the 24,
sure.
Like, I guess.
How's Jack gonna get out of this one?
But like the ticking clock.
Then you see 10 seconds of black. I mean, a 5 second of black.
That was incredibly effective suspense.
And then you get back, and 20 seconds later, somehow Jack figured out how to chew through his ropes. That kind of stuff.
But that was effective.
Yeah,
it was oddly effective in the traditional TV landscape, and then also, like a precursor to how television was going to be, or how content was going to be consumed. And I really do think that, like, it was because it was a bingeable thing that wasn't sustainably bingeable. Does that make sense?
I think so. Yeah, like the idea,
like you couldn't watch season 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 5 in a row
without wanting to shoot yourself in the face.
You're like, I get it, but space that out.
Right.
Over 5 years, you're like, this show's great.
It's so good.
Awesome. I bought the DVD and I'm going to watch this and blah, blah, blah. Everything's great.
Yeah. What was it? I had one more Hulu show, and I can't remember what the fuck it was.
Okay.
Because I watched it. I don't remember what it was.
But they're building in, if there's the one distinction between the two, outside of just like arbitrary content quality,
right?
It's that they're building in for ads.
They're bringing in ads, and
or they're building the shows around ads. I can't.
And it's not. They're not good. I mean, they're not the good. The couple that I've watched are pretty okay, but
But are you seeing
not
what I'm
enough.
saying though? Like that Hulu's, like, whereas Netflix doesn't build those shows to have ads in them. They're not building those breaks to be like, we're going to cut to break here, we're going to cut to commercials, and we're going to come back.
Right.
Hulu is definitely building those
Yeah.
in. So even if I'm paying to not have ads,
Yes.
and watching Hulu, I'm going to still see those obvious commercial breaks leading into it.
And I think I don't know. And the big thing is also it's episodic. I mean, not episodic. I think that those ad breaks are so much better served on a more self-contained episode by episode basis. You have to write, your writing has to be different between whether you're writing something for a week by week, if you're writing something for a binge, if you're writing for something with ad breaks, or you're writing for something for a continuous. Mm-hmm. All of those things have completely different writing styles. And I don't know, maybe it's just me and being an old fuddy-duddy. I think I do. I enjoy having that long form content. I'd rather watch.
But I don't think you're an old fuddy-duddy for that.
I think that, I mean, honestly, well, no, when I say, I'm talking more like reading a fucking book. Like, I think it's more of a, we are built to have things, and books did this too, where, we'll set up an aspect of suspense. How are they going to get out of it to keep you reading? Mm-hmm. There was some of that built into it, but it's not as bad. I don't know.
And on that point, like, again, not to go back to this Matt Taibbi interview, was just what's on the tip of my brain.
No, just keep talking about it like you love him or something.
Keep going back. I don't know him personally, but like you were talking about like wordplay, like basically like hiding code. Again, this is back in November of 2019, and they were talking about some senator that basically put out like a series of tweets that if you took the first letter of each tweet,
what was that?
It was Epstein didn't kill himself. It was in reverse order, and they just started talking about like wordplay, like hiding, word games within literature and everything like that, and how much more prevalent that was, probably in like the 1800s or before and everything. When again, literature and words were the medium of their time. So it's what's popular then, and how you can play around with it, how you can really, bounce that ball in a different way. You can have you can write a story, but also there's more to the story to it than just the actual. They brought up the monkeys typing out Shakespeare and everything like that and everything. But
I hope you're going to talk about Monkeys, the TV show.
No, but we do live in an interesting time where it's like this long form telling of a story that actually people can retain information. People are going to be invested in this information in ways that they're not, and so. It's that evolution of like how is the news going to evolve into making a murderer Tiger King? Like, how are you going to really relay, or how are you going to really explain what's actually going on in a way that people are going to absorb and be interested in, outside of just telling them what they already want to hear? Because that's where you get the 30. Most people that are anti-Trump or anti-Biden or anything like that, or anti-Democrat, anti-Republican, if that's what we want to break down, really all they do is look at the headline. They don't want to look into
nobody wants to
the nitty-gritty as to why things are going on the way they are. But if someone were to put out like a documentary about why the Republicans are horrible, the Democrats are horrible, why Trump is horrible, why Biden's horrible, they might look at it, and they might look at it longer than they would like a headline.
I don't remember. Is that HBO? HBO put out a 2-part or 3-part series. I'm trying to remember what the fuck it was about. It was about Trump. I mean, not to be confused with Showtime's Brendan Gleeson Trump. And we talked about this.
Okay.
Brendan Gleeson portraying Trump on Showtime with
vaguely remember.
What the fuck is his name? Jeff Daniels as Comey. Mm-hmm. Anyhow, that's a 2 or 3. That's a 2 hour 3 hour 2 or 3-part series.
That goes into the world of like Chernobyl or anything like that, where it's like it's a mini series where you're like, this is like half fictional, half non-fictional. Like you're kind of rewriting history in a way that it's in a narrative that you see fit.
Yeah.
And then people are going to look at that and see that as truth. And,
yes. Yeah.
I know we've talked about it on the podcast before. There was the CBS show, the Madam Secretary, that talked about like the P tapes, and they found the P tapes in Russia, and they had them and everything like that. And it's like there's a certain portion of the population that's going to watch this and be like, "Oh yeah, they found them." Yep. No, they're going to forget that they saw it on a fictional television show.
Well, we're not going to talk about the Steele dossier as if it's truth. Oh shit. Anyhow,
oh wow, way to brush this off. Okay.
Well, no, I don't want to.
It's fine.
No, I don't want to dive into.
I don't have my PowerPoint ready to go.
You don't have your PowerPoint. My thing is.
Are you familiar with? What about the Hunter Biden hard drives?
Oh no.
What?
Oh no.
I just found out about it. I just found out about it.
That's right, because you're not paying attention.
I'm not. No.
And that's fine.
I don't care anymore.
I
want to watch the world burn. Have you ever just watched a campfire? Have you ever just watched something burn?
Yeah.
It's fascinating.
It's amazing.
It's mesmerizing.
Listen,
I'm just saying, like, to everyone out there, just watch it burn. Just watch it burn.
Well, unfortunately, when we're talking about watching stuff burn, we're talking about people's houses. When we're talking about like upending an entire political system.
No. It's a metaphor. Okay? It's a metaphor of watching things burn. It's still fascinating to watch it burn.
Yes.
Like, do I want everything that they're saying is on the Hunter Biden hard drive to be true? Absolutely. And the same thing with the Donald Trump hard drive that they say they have. I want it all to be true.
There's a Donald Trump hard drive?
There's apparently a Donald Trump hard drive as well.
I don't know anything about that.
But first off, we don't know much about anything because all it is speculation.
Well, and that's I mean,
but I want it to be true. It's like professional wrestling.
I mean, that's
like, do I want Kane to really be the Undertaker's brother and to come back from the dead and them to fight in Hell in the Cell? Yeah. Absolutely, yes.
For
Let's
me,
watch it burn.
Like the whole Hunter Biden story. For me, like I had to put my bias in check really hard, just because I'm like, I do think that
he received a lot of money for.
He traded in on it. I do believe that Hunter Biden traded in on his father's name, and I don't necessarily like Joe Biden or Hunter Biden, and I think that they're part of an old political class that I don't really care for.
This will be the last time I go back to this Matt Taibbi and Joe Rogan thing.
Sure,
but
go on.
Joe Rogan had a great analogy for running Joe Biden as the political candidate or the Democratic candidate.
Yeah.
And this is back in November, all right, before he was the candidate. But he's like, it's like going into the woods with a flashlight that has half the batteries in there, and like everything's gonna be fine. Everything's gonna be just fine. It's like, no, it's not. No, it's not. It's not gonna be okay. No.
Yeah. So because I don't like Joe Biden, and I don't like that end of the political spectrum.
Yeah.
I want in my deepest core, I want all this to be true, and I want to be revealed for the charlatans that they really are. And so I'm looking and I'm trying to find sources as much of that, but instead I'm getting locked out. I'm not seeing actual reporting on what's happening. All I'm seeing is a bunch of people on Reddit saying, "Oh, it's all Russian. It's all Russian." It's like.
Well, that's and
I'm like, oh, hold on. I want to hear. I want to understand what's going on. Please put some rational light into this, because.
Well, it's until anything's revealed, though, that you're not. Everything's to be hearsay.
Right. Rational thought is not coming out of Rudy Giuliani.
No,
that's not happening.
No.
So I'm like, that guy's shady as fuck. I can't trust him at all. But here's the crazy thing: Joe Biden's not saying, "Well, none of this is fucking true."
Right.
So fuck off.
And also and also to that point though, like the mainstream media is not talking about it at all, which they should be like, "Oh, we're going to be looking into this." And going back to the point of like just being objective, like the mainstream media is just the media is going to cater to its brand and cater to its base.
Right. And
most of the what would you say it's fair that 75% of the mainstream media is left leaning?
Of course.
Okay. So they're not going to touch this thing with a 10-foot pole.
No.
It's going to be swept under the rug.
Because I think that it's difficult to overcome that bias. I think it's very difficult. And when you live,
unless you have some damning evidence, unless you have like, all I've heard is hearsay. All I've heard is this is what may be on it.
It's horrible.
But unless you produce that, and trust me, as again watching the bonfire burn, I want to see it. I'm being like, yep. If he's texted his kids, I know I've been a horrible father, but at least I don't take half of everything you make, like your grandfather and everything like that. I would love that. That'd be great. Yeah. That's great political theater. That's great. Yeah. And it would make for an amazing October surprise,
But it's...
And if Trump, if there's a video of Trump getting pissed on by Russian whores, everything like that too, awesome. Bring it on.
That's great.
That's great. That's great. If you're going to go down, kind of like COVID, is like if the world is going to end because of COVID, that's a shitty way for the world to end. It's pretty. Give me zombie apocalypse. Yeah. At least give me some excitement. That's what I want. Yeah. And I don't want to just this thing that slowly kills people over time on ventilators or whatever. No, that's boring. Come on. Let's be American. Let's be,
Let's be bold.
Let's be bold. Let's get zombies that fucking kill people and flesh eating. Let's barricade your doors. Let's do this shit right,
I don't.
But if we're gonna have a political firestorm,
let's have some.
Have it be fucking real.
Let's have some big revelations.
I would love
not
it.
just half-hearted hearsay.
Yeah.
And
first off, because I think the other things that are outside of this hard drive or whatever, there's plenty of damning evidence on Hunter Biden, himself incriminating himself, saying I didn't deserve the money that I got paid to do the thing that I have no.
I think anybody
expertise in.
I think anybody with a half rational brain would sit there and say, "Hold on, this guy who has zero knowledge of Ukraine or
couldn't point it out on the map
or the energy industry,
number 2,
is now getting put on the board of a Ukrainian energy business.
Number 3,
okay,
and he's getting paid. And what is he getting paid?
It's range for, I've heard everything from $40,000 to $75,000 a month.
Yeah. So
okay, why? Well,
and he's a recovering cocaine, meth,
crack cocaine. I mean,
no.
yeah. Somebody with a detailed, but also he is the son of the vice president. Okay.
Oh, that's a whole problem, though.
This is a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you want to sit there and acknowledge those things as actual problems and say, this is a problem, this is not okay, but it's a lot better than Donald Trump because of X, Y, and Z, and with rationality, because
that's the thing where I think it's hard to separate, because again, I mean I don't know how you lean politically, and I don't think you know how I lean politically. I think we both kind of mash up of.
You like jackfruit. I
like a jackfruit. I like a third party.
Yeah.
Don't give me strawberry or blueberry. Give me jackfruit. But what I think is what is a damning thing to Biden, and it's just because it's not as bad as what we perceive Trump has done or everything like that as a rationale to vote them in, is not good at all. That's like saying, I don't know the perfect analogy off the top of my head, but it's just forgiving one sin because you think another sin is greater. Doesn't really solve anything.
That's the problem. And that's the problem. You can lay all of this. I'm going to go in. This is me showing my bias.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the DNC is a much more calculated, a much more organized organization compared to the RNC. I feel like.
Are you kidding? Okay.
I feel like the RNC is this weird, mass of people who are a little bit more like the sea, but like the ocean, as they ebb and flow, and not necessarily. Okay, we are doing this. This is our guy. This is our person. We are moving forward. This is it. That's for me. That's what the DNC is. The DNC is just
see, now
everybody is in fucking lockstep. I mean, here's the deal. Okay. When was the last time you heard of the former DNC president endorsing the other fucking party? I mean, Michael Steele the former chair of the RNC, is endorsing Joe Biden. So, for me, that's crazy.
So, so you're saying that a bunch of people have agreed to walk lock and step in towards a single idea.
Yes.
Regardless of outcome. Like,
right.
Okay, so again, like, conspiracy theories can exist because
no, it's not a conspiracy.
No, it's not, because you're jumping. Like, I wish I had a word in between. I wish I had a word in between what you're describing and then conspiracy theory.
I think
because that's what you're talking about. You're talking about multiple. How many people in elected politician?
Probably 100. I mean, within the
are Democrats.
Democrat National Committee. That's that's the big thing because that's those who. I mean, the DNC is completely different from the party.
True, but also you do walk lock and step, or you don't receive the funding.
Yeah,
you don't receive the same funding as everybody else, and so again, there's this precedent that's set where it's you play ball, learn to play ball. Yeah. If you don't, you're washed out, and no one fucking remembers you. I agree that it happens on both sides, and to a much greater extent, though, it happens on the DNC.
I think it's on the DNC. I think my thing is, this is probably a better analogy. I view the DNC as a much more top-down organization rather than the RNC, which is hey guys, who can we kind of get together? And I think honestly, the 2016 election is probably the best example of that, because there's nobody that they were like, who'd be great. This guy.
Yeah, no one.
It was they fought in tooth and. I mean, they're still fighting tooth and nail. Fucking like
that's
I said,
why it was division.
Michael Steele is still. I mean, fighting against it today.
Yep.
And that's crazy.
But that's where it comes down to a guy like Trump when he had to play the Republican angle. Like I always laughed. It was like, okay, well, Trump's not a religious guy. All right. So, but he's gonna play that he's religious. So he gets Mike Pence. It was like uber religious and everything like that.
Have you ever listened to Mike Pence on talk radio?
No, I haven't. But
he had his own talk radio show.
I know he had his own.
Did we talk about this?
No, I just know he did.
He had his own talk radio, and it's hey, what's going on? He's so much more loosey-goosey, full-on radio personality.
And he scares me more than Trump does. People don't understand that. People don't understand that, like, the insanity that the world would be if Mike Pence was president is much worse than if Donald Trump was president. But that's a calculated move by Trump, who, to your point, where your RNC base basically is so diverse, it's so wide that it's not as uber progressive, and we're going to be in this camp and this camp and this camp, and we all agree that.
And if you're not in part of this camp, fuck you.
Yeah, there's a bunch of gun-toting Republicans that agree with abortion, agree abortion should be legal, and then a bunch of abortion is horrible, but we do agree all the assault rifles need to be off the streets. Though that world exists, and it's a vast expanse in between those worlds. There's also ones that don't touch my money and believe in social programs. And it's like it's a mixed, basically a mixed group of people that kind of congregate under whatever one or two values that they agree with the most, which isn't right.
I don't even think there's.
But they do. There's a lot of pro-life Republicans, right? Vote, because a lot of Republicans are just pro-life, and most Democrats, if not all Democrats, are pro-choice.
Sure,
right? So because they're pro-life, they're Republican by default, because that's pro-life. Or in the same way as the Second Amendment, and the same thing with this, because there's not a lot of Democrats that defend the Second Amendment, but there's a lot of Republicans that defend the Second Amendment, and that's their only their only base. So you get these people that. They're just they're one issue voters. That's the whole thing. I'm going to vote for, and that's part of the thing when Trump got elected. It was he is anti-abortion. No,
he's not.
Donald Trump isn't anti-abortion. No. He's saying that, but because I'm totally a betting man. The over/under on the amount of abortions that Donald Trump has paid for. I'm going to set it at 4.5.
4.5.
And would you take the over or under?
I'm going to take the over on that.
Of course you take the over, because you're a rational human being. There's no way that guy has not paid for at least 5 abortions.
That guy,
that's nothing.
He is not a Republican.
No, he's not.
Absolutely.
Which is why they don't want him.
Yeah. And that's what I mean for me. Like this weird majority, it's not a majority. This weird contingent of people who are fervently for him, I cannot understand at all.
Well,
I'm conservative. I'm libertarian. I'm I try to be rational as much as possible. I guess that's
as much as a narcissist can be.
Exactly. But this is I don't understand the cult of personality around Donald Trump.
You don't? No. Let me explain it to you. Ready?
Oh, okay.
He's a troll, okay? So
yes,
he's a troll. So when you see someone, it's high school mentality. When someone starts to be an asshole, and they start again, I know I'm going back to this Matt Taibbi.
Who's the greatest troll ever? What's his name? Who's
Donald
the guy?
J. Trump.
No, the guy on Twitter. The guy on Twitter who like just trolls everybody so good. Josh Bushy.
Oh yeah,
friend of the show. Talked about.
Friend of the show.
What the fuck's his name?
We got to look it up, but
anyway,
we can't think of it right now.
The absolute most amazing troll ever on Twitter, where I can't
comment section.
He just goes into comment sections and says the most not absurd, but just like
no, it's a simple troll.
It's like really and effectively stupid. I mean, it's stupidly effective. How about that? That's probably
effectively stupid or stupidly effective.
I think it's stupidly effective.
That's the title, the name of the show, right there.
Anyhow, like. But people are rallying around that fucking guy and saying he is our Lord and Savior. I can't believe he saved Christianity and the Republican Party.
Effective troll, right there.
I don't think he's. I mean, you can call it is. Yeah, go ahead.
What? No, go.
No, Donald Trump is a charlatan. That's. I mean, and that's.
Well, of course, but that doesn't mean he's not a troll or an effective troll.
Like effective troll and charlatan. I mean, how much is that? There's
an oxymoron.
Well, what's the Venn diagram on that?
it's pretty much a perfect circle.
It's close.
It's an overlapping perfect circle.
It's a pretty overlapping circle.
But
yeah. So, anyway.
but to that point though, and again, I know I only because it's on my mind. I just listened to it.
No, go on.
But
it's okay.
The Donald Trump. It's
a real Rocketeer situation. I get it.
Exactly right. It's right on top of my head. But the Donald Trump phenomenon, to the people that really attach themselves to it, it's a lot like punk rock. It's like, I'm going to be outrageous because I want to see you freak out at my outlook. When people in the late 70s, 80s, when they started wearing mohawks and torn up shirts and pins and everything like that, and they'd walk around and they wanted to see people freak out how they looked, and that's what they were going for. Yeah. That's what Donald Trump was in 2016, and that's what it's continued to be into 2020. And it's just that it's so much less artistic and it's so much less, I guess, creative. I mean, some of it's creative, honestly. I mean, but some of the T-shirts and everything that they have are creative. But it's one of the things where it's the mindset is much more punk rock than people want to give it credit for. And they basically got the president, of the United States elected based on a punk rock mentality. Like, and that's why he's Teflon. That's why nothing he does is like, grabbed her by the pussy. Like, fuck it. Who cares? It's like Sid Vicious, like fucking picking his nose and flinging it, and just fuck it. Who cares? I don't care. Like, I'll shit my pants right now. Who cares? Fuck it. It's punk rock.
My question is the number of people, who actually believe that Donald Trump saved Christianity and like actually believe that. Yeah. What's their actual percentage? That's my question.
Larger than you think, but smaller than
what's being amplified. I feel like there might be, they're finding the idiots in the crowd and amplifying their voices.
But maybe
they're idiots that are just shouting. I don't know.
But that goes back to your point, though. The landscape of the RNC just voter base.
Nobody controls them.
Yeah, whereas the DNC is a funnel, maybe a big column, to little, column that leads down. The RNC is like a vast landscape,
an ocean. I said
an ocean. Yeah,
it waves and it goes up and down.
So really, like the reason why Donald Trump for the last 4 years has pretended to be, Catholic or Christian or whatever the fuck he's pretended to be. Where you're like, there's bodies of evidence of you not giving a shit about any of this stuff. Who cares? But You're a Republican, so you must be Catholic or Christian. I don't even know what the term is.
For starters, there hasn't been a Catholic
since
president
JFK?
Since JFK, and he was the fucking first.
Right.
That's the crazy thing. What
is Donald Trump? I
don't know. Like,
we're gonna find out.
He's probably some kind of weird Presbyterian.
I don't know,
or something like that. I know Joe Biden is Catholic and is a practicing Catholic.
So we'd have two.
No, Donald Trump is not a Catholic.
No. We'd have two if Joe Biden gets elected.
Oh yeah. He'd be the second.
What religion is Donald Trump? The Son. This is good.
Yeah, well, that's gonna.
The Son.
That'll really answer a lot of questions. Most Americans don't see Donald Trump as religious.
Shocker.
Weird.
Why are people asking if the president is Jewish?
Well, as I see a picture of him wearing a yarmulke
at the wailing
touching the wailing wall, well,
the evidence is pretty damning.
That's up there.
Donald Trump says he's a Christian, more specifically a Presbyterian.
Oh, what's his name?
Which is a form of Protestantism, which traces its roots back to Scotland. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Calvinism,
Calvinism. I'm a Calvinist. I'm not, by the way. I'm not. It's just a Trailer Park Boys.
What's his name? It's his son. His
son-in-law.
Baron? No, his son-in-law.
Donald or
Kushner.
Jared.
Jared Kushner is like heavily
He's Jewish, yeah.
Full on Jewish.
Yeah, that's probably what this Sun article is about. So, okay, Presbyterian.
And, the Republican Party's like close ties to Israel.
If we want to get into that, there we go.
No.
Huh? No?
Not getting into it.
Not getting into it? Let's try to get banned on Twitter. That'll be fun. Let's just try to do it. Well, listen, I don't know if we have enough clout, but let's try.
Not going to lie. We've already talked about Hunter Biden, so I feel like it's only a matter of time.
So if I hashtag Hunter Biden in this,
yeah,
or Hunter Biden on Twitter? We're gonna find out.
I would, if he has a sensible brain cell in his body, he would not have a Twitter handle at all. But then again,
I don't know. The Secret Service might not let him have one because he's got. Does he have Secret Service as his? I
want to say yes. I want to say
because how he is not killed right now. And first off,
I mean, do vice presidents' children get Secret Service?
The ones that smoke meth and get their hard drives. No,
but while their father is out of office as vice president, do his children? That's a real question.
That is. We'll find out for the next time.
I mean,
because at the end of the day,
I'm gonna go home and watch Guarding Tess, starring Nicolas Cage. And also, this is a podcast.
Does that have to do with Secret Service?
Yeah, Nick Cage is a Secret Service agent guarding a...
Vice President's daughter?
No, guarding...
Okay. Well...
Guarding...
And it's not factual.
A former First Lady.
Okay. Well, you do that.
And this could be a podcast.
At the end of the day, this could be a podcast. Hey, thank you guys so much for listening. We really appreciate it. Be sure to give us a positive review on Apple Podcasts.
As compared to somebody's wife.
And as compared to someone's significant other. A backhanded compliment that was meant for somebody else, by the way. Anyway. And we also check us out on Twitter.
Twitter.
At TCBA_podcast. Okay, this could be a podcast _podcast.
Also, we're on YouTube as well.
We are.
Yeah, and if you're there and you see our video, go ahead and leave a negative comment there.
You can leave one there.
You can leave one there. That's fine. I'll even upvote it. Yeah. If you want to go ahead and, underneath the video comment, say something about how we're horrible, we're not funny, this is not interesting at all, I don't understand why you listened to this for an hour and a half. Right. I thought you were going to talk about
anything.
Anything.
That I give a shit about.
Yeah, something in the newspapers.
No.
Something I've said previously. Right. That's what
That's what we want.
That's what we want.
Please.
Do that.
Tell us how horrible we are on YouTube, not on Apple. Okay?
Right.